everybody. Today what I'm going to do is basically go through my self-publishing journey with Amazon KDP. I published my first children's book recently, and I wanted to go through the steps and really highlight the startup costs with self-publishing. So that's what this video is going to be about. As far as each individual step, I will be sure to post videos in the future going into more detail with each step to really help you feel comfortable with those. But this is going to be a very high level overview of the process and what it all entails. So the first thing that you'll want to do before anything is figure out the niche that you want to write in. Now, this is a very important part and one that a lot of people take a lot of time to dive into. Some people even use paid services to figure out what some of those popular niches are at the time, just because let's say you start writing, or maybe you're going to hire a ghostwriter and you're writing about something that just nobody's looking up right now. It's not a popular topic. Then you're not going to get very many sales. So you want to make sure that what you are going to write about does have interest. So that's the first thing. And we'll go into, some of those platforms that you can use later on to really help you determine what that would be. Or if you're like me, pick something you're passionate about and write about it. What I chose was, a children's book around, promoting self-confidence, positive affirmations, feelings. So that's what I chose. That's what I'm sticking with. But I did do some of that product research just to make sure it wasn't going to be a complete fail. The next thing you'll want to do is write your book. One of the big things that I wanted to do was include rhyming. My boys are really working on rhyming in their kindergarten class right now. So that was something I wanted to include just to kind of help them, and I feel like it helps keep the reader engaged as well. So that's why I chose that. Now, next is editing your book. Please do not make the mistake that I did with this book when I went to an illustrator first, then went to an editor. And what happened was my illustrator was pretty much done with my pages, and an editor ended up changing one of the storylines on a page. So for this page right here, the main character was supposed to be giving this boy a compliment, and it turned into him sleeping in a tent. So I'm just going to say nothing is set in stone until you edit your document. Same thing with if you're registering for a copyright, wait until it's edited. Don't go through and, register your copyright throughout the entire process because you are protected, and we'll go into that a little bit later too. It just causes a big headache in the end. So find an editor, proofreader. I went off of Fiverr, and I will include the affiliate links in the description for that service. And I paid $5 for an editor for one of my books, and then $10 for another one of my books. So that's kind of the range that you'll be looking for a proofreader editor on Fiverr. So that's kind of the first chunk in your budget that you will be spending. Next is to find a children's illustrator. And I will say there are so many on Fiverr to choose from. So this is where you're able to, search for illustrators in your budget and find those images that really stand out to you. What do you want your illustrations to look like in your book? This is highly important, especially if you're writing a children's book, because what's a book without pictures for a child? So you want to make sure that they are good and that they are something that you are really looking for. For me, I spent $60, and that was for 10 pictures and a cover. Now, when you're writing this book, you want to make sure you have at least 24 pages. Now, as you heard, I have 10 pictures. I had about 12 pages in my storybook, but I'll show you how I kind of compensated for those other pages as well. And actually, I'll do that right now, since next is formatting the book, and you want to make sure that you can get to that 24-page requirement. So some of those extra pages that you can have is your title page. So really just your title, your name. Next is your copyright page. Now, to touch on copyright, since we're on the copyright page, Copyright is something that is automatically in effect the moment your work goes on paper or in your computer or recorded on a device. As soon as it's tangible, you are protected. So that's a big thing. We'll go into registering your copyright with the government as well, because there's a lot of benefits with doing that too. But just know you are protected once that happens. So having your copyright page makes it a little more formal and I feel professional, and it gives you that extra page. So that's a win-win. Next, you can have a dedication page, you can have an author page, and then there is one page in the back that you'll want to leave blank, and it's for this barcode that, you know, Amazon puts on for you. So that's an extra page that you have. And then what I did, because my book was only 12 pages and I made it equal 24 with just the story itself, I put the words on one side, the picture on the other, and I used the bleed format, which we'll go into a little bit later too. So that is the pages. Now, next is formatting. Now, with formatting, you can outsource this on Fiverr as well, and you can find someone to format your book. Now, when you're formatting, you want to keep in mind it's not just for paperback. You're likely going to want to upload an ebook as well, which they will charge you for both. So really looking around $40 or more with formatting your book. The next thing you want to consider is the font that you're going to use. You'll want to make sure that you can acquire the necessary licenses in order to use the fonts in your book. Now, I do have a site where you can get free fonts and, you know, receive those commercial licenses, so you can use it for essentially profit in this case with the royalties and be able to sell it. And then when you format your book, Amazon has templates that you can use, and you'll want to determine the size of your book. So this is an 8x5 by 8x5, 8.5 by 8.5. Whew, that was harder than it should have been. And that's something else that you'll want to let your illustrator know too, is the size of your pictures. So that's something that you'll want to determine early on in the process as well. And then make sure you let your illustrator know you need high resolution, because when you're going through the formatting stage and you're adding your illustrations and you're, you know, uploading your cover, if it's not high resolution, it will not pass Amazon's test. So make sure it's high resolution. But when you're formatting, depending on the size of your book, it will tell you what those formatting guidelines are. Now with me, I chose the bleed format, which is basically having your images go to the very edge of your page and there's going to be no white space around it. With that, you'll have to manually edit the dimensions a little bit just to make sure that it goes all the way to the edge and there's no white space around it. So that's the part that you can get tricked up on. As far as the cover, I did my cover directly through Amazon KDP. They have this cool tool that you can use to generate your own cover, or I've heard of people using the free version of Canva to go on there and create their own cover. So whatever you prefer. KDP also has an awesome platform where you can upload, you know, a PDF directly to the Kindle ebook platform, and it's super easy to save it from there and then upload onto your actual Amazon KDP account. Now this is really all after you're setting up the initial, you know, Amazon KDP. It's free, so you can go on there and, you know, sign up for an account, fill out your tax information, all that good stuff. Okay, so next, when you're done formatting and you're in the part of uploading, you're going to run into a part where it's asking you if you want a free ISBN from Amazon or if you have your own ISBN. So when you're determining whether or not you want to take advantage of Amazon's free ISBN, ask yourself, are you starting your own self-publishing company, or is this something that you're doing for fun, for some side income, and you are sticking with just Amazon KDP? Because if you use the free Amazon ISBN, then you are going to only be able to have your book distributed through Amazon's platform. You can choose expanded distribution, where it can be sold on other platforms, but you cannot take your book and go to like Ingram Spark, for example, and upload it on there. That would require you to have your own ISBN. Now, the price of your own ISBN, if you do choose to go that route, you would go to Bowker.com, and for one ISBN, it's $125. A pack of 10 is $295. And there are some other packages, but it, just goes up from there. So something to keep in mind. And if you are going to upload with your own ISBNs, as a reminder, paperback is one ISBN, an ebook is another ISBN. So, there's that. So just keep that in mind. And it's really going to depend on what your overall goal is with self-publishing. For me, Amazon was able to take care of my immediate needs, so I used the free ISBN, but I will say this was one of the things that I put the most thought into, and I was going to buy my own ISBNs for a while. I had my mind set on that, and it changed last minute. So, just something to put some thought into, and it's not like you can't change it in the end. So if you do end up buying your own ISBNs later, you can do that too. And then when you're uploading, you'll also want to make sure that you go through like the expanded distribution. Choose that if you'd like to. You'll get 70% royalties for your book with Amazon, and I want to say expanded distribution is 40, but we'll go through that a little bit later as well. And then pricing your book. How much do you want to sell your book for? Make sure you upload both formats. And then when you upload, typically within 24 to 48 hours is when you will see your book live, or it'll go default back into the draft status if there's something you need to change. That happened to me a few different times, but hey, I formatted it myself, so it was bound to happen. Next, so registering your copyright, and there's a lot of great benefits to doing this, and I honestly see a lot of people doing this, but it's completely up to you. You're already protected by, the copyright protection, but this is just a way to register it. With that being said, copyright registration, I did both of my books at once. So for two of my books and that copyright registration, it was $85. So really to kind of go through just the pricing so far with what all that we've done, I'm going to give you some numbers here. So let's say you hire an editor, you hire an illustrator, you buy your own ISBNs, you buy a pack of 10 so that you can do more books in the future. And then you register for a copyright. That's going to be $410. That's going to be the startup cost. Let's say you just want to hire an editor and an illustrator. You're going to use the free ISBN, and you're not going to worry about getting your book registered with the government. Then at that point, what you would be looking at is about $70, or not $70, excuse me. Yeah, no, $70. That's right. You'd be looking at $70. Or if you wanted to do the editing, illustrating, and then copyright protection, you're looking at about $115. So your startup cost is really going to vary depending on what you want to do and what all you want to include. So something just to keep in mind with as far as that goes too. So I will be sure to do more in-depth videos when it comes to all of these steps, because I know it's a lot and this is literally just the tip of the iceberg. There's more that goes into it. We will be sure to go into that further with you. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be sure to get more of that content out for you. And happy publishing. I hope you have a great rest of your day.